Hey everybody, welcome back to J Darwin Gaming, and today I wanted to take the time to talk about my favorite games of 2022. So I'm going to just go over 5 games, and these are all games that came out in 2022, and they're what I think would be probably the best gaming experiences that I've had this year. I'm going to go over them in detail and let you know what I liked about them, and if you like any of these, go ahead and check them out. I would highly recommend them. So just starting off in no particular order, I'm just gonna get the big ones out of the way. So we all know Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. So I'm combining these two because they're gonna be on everybody's game of the year or top games of 2022, and that's because these games are incredible. If you play God of War Ragnarok, you're gonna like it for different reasons than Elden Ring. So I can't say one is better than the other in its entirety, but they both provide different gaming experiences that can't be replicated anywhere else. For Elden Ring, I would say that the best thing about Elden Ring is, the open world, the vastness of it, the variety of adventure that you can have. It's very non-linear, and especially how you play, you can take so many different approaches. You can do like a rogue build, mage, warrior. You can do whatever you want. It's like the ultimate sandbox game, and it's not really there for the story. I would say if you're looking for the story experience, I would say God of War Ragnarok is unbeatable. I've never played games. The saga itself, the 2018 and 2022 together, is probably the best story in gaming that I've ever experienced. I can't think of a better game development or delivery of a story than these two games. So I would highly recommend you play God of War if you're looking for a story and you don't really need to care about replayability. It does have some, but for me, I just played it for the story because I just couldn't put the controller down once I picked it up. Not because of the gameplay. The gameplay is solid, but just the story. I wanted to know what would happen next to these characters. And so those are the first two. Get them out of the way. If you want more depth, you can watch other people's videos. There's dozens of videos on why these games are excellent. But the next game, and this one's a lot more personal for me, it would be Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So this is actually just an expansion of the Monster Hunter Rise game that came out in 2021. But this expansion brought a lot of new features to the game, and I think it's better for it. I actually played the original game on my Nintendo Switch, but when they announced that this DLC was coming, I wanted to get the game on PC and also play it on PC. So I actually bought this game twice and I bought the DLC. So I think in total I spent like maybe close to $120 just to buy this game twice along with the DLC. But if you're a Monster Hunter fan, you know how it feels. Every time new Monster Hunter games comes out or new content, you just want to play that because the Monster Hunter formula is such a winning formula. It's the loop is you hunt monsters, you use the materials that you gather from those to make better equipment, better gear, and then you can hunt stronger monsters, get better gear, and then it just goes on forever. You will just endlessly be upgrading your character, and it just feels like really great because the challenges are so tough, but when you overcome the monster by learning their patterns and upgrading your gear, it's just a gameplay loop that I feel like you just can't beat. That's why every year they pump out a new Monster Hunter game and they always sell millions. It's because they're just great games. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. I would say if you're jumping into it for the first time, Monster Hunter Rise is not a bad place to start, but you couldn't go wrong with Monster Hunter World either. That game is also pretty great, but they do play differently, so just be aware of that. I wouldn't recommend going into the old school Monster Hunters, like anything before World, because those games are a lot less beginner friendly, but they're more classical Monster Hunters. So if you're trying to get in and you want to experience how the game line truly began, then go ahead and try those. But again, they're not as beginner friendly. The next game on my list would be Overwatch 2, and that's the game that you're watching right now. I think that this game is just straight up fun. Like, yes, I know that there's a lot of complaints and controversy surrounding the monetization of the game, surrounding the cosmetics, surrounding the balance, and surrounding the the commentary of the game is just very negative right now. A lot of people are hating on the game and saying there's so many things wrong with it, and I understand all those complaints, right? Like, they're valid just as much as my praise is valid. So I would just say, if you're someone that doesn't really care that much about those type of things, like you don't need to spend money on the game, you don't need to care about having it perfectly balanced all the time. If you just play it for fun, then I think you can find that here easily. Overwatch has so many different characters that have different moments where they pop off and just make you feel like you're single-handedly carrying the team with that character. And so for Hanzo, it could be, let's say you just landed 3 headshots back to back on the squishies, and you just feel like, oh my god, I'm like the best at this game. But then that experience can only be had with Hanzo or perhaps Widowmaker. And then let's say the next time you're playing as McCree, and then you fan the hammer, you kill a squishy, you roll, you fan the hammer again, you kill another squishy, then you grenade someone. When you wipe out 3 people with like a DPS character, it just feels amazing. And then as a tank, when you do a similar thing where you wipe out the enemy, let's say you get a 5-man Reinhardt ulti, it just makes you feel like you're the boss. And there's so many moments and opportunities for that in Overwatch. Pretty much every time you get your ulti up, you can do something like that or look for a play, and it's just, in my opinion, just as fun as Overwatch 1 was when it came out. Yes, it's different now, but honestly, it's just a good time. If you don't have to focus on those negative aspects of the game, which, you know, can be improved, then it is a fun game at its core. And then the next game that I want to talk about is Dwarf Fortress. So this game just came out a couple weeks ago. It's really new, but actually the game itself was started back, I think, over 20 years ago by one person, and now it's him and his brother making the game. They basically ported it onto Steam with improved graphics and UI and whatnot, but the game idea and the gameplay has been there for over 20 years, but now it's just been made more accessible. And I was so surprised to learn how complicated this game was. It is insane how much thought they have put into making this one of the greatest simulation games of all time. I am constantly learning new things and experiencing how the game systems work with each other, such as if you make a forge, then you need to also make, like, say, a kiln so you can fuel it. But then what do you do with those materials? You need to make a mechanics shop, things like that. There's tons of things to learn, and I'm very new to the game still, but I'm super eager to learn more about it just because I love, like, it's a passion project by these 2 developers, and you can really feel it. They're just trying to make the ultimate storytelling simulation world building game. And so those would be my top 5 games of the year. Let me know if you guys have tried any of these, if you agree with them. If you disagree, go ahead and drop a comment below. But thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.